right, everybody. You're listening to Video Villa Podcast, episode 33, Memoirs of Invisible Man, directed by John Carpenter. Today, I am guest with Tony from Hack the Movies.
Hi, I'm Tony from Hack the Movies. And today we're talking about Memoirs of an Invisible Man on... Oh, yeah, that's right. It's your show.
So do you want to go into if you liked the movie, or do you want to wait to the end to talk about if you liked it or not? I don't know how you feel about that.
You know what? You asked me to do this movie. I had not seen it in many, many, many years. We talked about it briefly on my show, the Best John Carpenter movie. Yeah. I had a lot of fun revisiting this.
Oh, cool.
I understand why it didn't do well. And it's not great. Mm-hmm. But I had a very enjoyable experience, maybe because I took 8 hours in between the first and second half before I came back to it. But no, I'm really glad you recommended this to me, because I'm like, this is a fun one to look back on. And also I could see where it went wrong here and there.
Yeah, and so I got the Shout Factory DVD here, I mean Blu-ray, whatever, and I was looking at the one thing that I've realized really where I think some of it, and we'll get to it, I guess, when you think what went wrong. But I was watching the TV spots.
Yeah.
Did you see any of the TV spots? Because they shot two different versions. They had a happy uplifting and a more drama-filled TV spot.
Well, yeah, so...
Different tones, basically.
Are you going to go into the backstory of how this got made, or...?
I'm going into something... If there's anything that you know that I don't know...
No, because that was, like, a thing... So Chevy Chase signed on to it, but, like, he wanted it to not be super jokey. And...
Yeah, he wanted to do a serious role. He really did. Yeah.
And you sure you know Ivan Reitman was attached? Yeah. And he like basically got him booted from it. So yeah, it is funny how like throughout the whole production of this film, it was just a struggle over how much comedy and how much drama. So it doesn't surprise me that the TV spots went in two different directions.
Yeah, because there's like 10 of them. I think there's like 5 different each. And it was funny because it first starts off doing the drama ones. And I was like, and Invisible Man. And like, I don't know if it's the same voice actor. I don't know if you know, but like there's the one that does the deep voice like this. And then there's like Rob Schneider's a staple in that one. You know what I mean? So like I don't know if it's the same guy. He just changes his tone, but that's the two tones from those TV spots. I'm like, okay, well maybe people are really confused on what movie they're actually watching.
I mean, at least they did 2 different spots. It's not like when you watch like the trailer for The Room, where it's presented as a drama at the very end. They're like, they say it's a laugh riot. I'm like, well, all the footage made it look like a drama. Where's this coming from? Because clearly it had gotten a cult following, so they added that second. I'm like, well, you got to recut the whole trailer. You can't just add, by the way, it's a comedy at the end.
The thing is, I didn't even know about that movie till I went to watch Tim and Eric. And they just replaced their episodes with clips from The Room. And I was like, I'm supposed to be watching Tim and Eric. Why is this showing this movie called The Room?
But yeah, I like the marketing they're doing. I'm like, well, if someone happens to catch this trailer, maybe they'll be in the mood for a comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like a weird time. This is 1992. This is like after Chevy Chase was in Dan Aykroyd's shit show, Nothing But Trouble.
It's still a fun watch. It is.
It's a very interesting watch. It's not a good movie. I watched it a lot growing up, and I can still watch it.
Yeah.
But now I watch it, and I'm entertained going, oh, God, they wasted so much money on this.
Yeah.
Oh, God, they really thought it would be good.
And that really made me look into Dan Aykroyd. Like, man, I think you're messed up in the head a little bit here.
Yeah, it's like
this shit that you come up with and you think is funny is pretty demented.
Other people make your stuff work. Yeah. It's kind of like George Lucas. Like, other people made you kind of work. You, left to your own devices, are not that good.
Yeah.
So I could see after that him being like, I want to distance myself from comedy for a little bit. So I understand him wanting to do this, but at the same time, it's Chevy Chase. And there is comedy in this movie that kind of works.
Well, that's the thing is like, if you watch the film, and it also like, there are other John Carpenter films and stuff like that have a comedic tone during like, in, big scenes of drama and so forth. Like you can throw that kind of stuff and still have a thriller. You know what I mean? You can still marry the two. So the fact that like everyone just hated this and nitpicked it to death, and I really don't get it because I really like it.
Yeah. I mean, there are issues with it, but I mean, the fact that it was like so hated, unless it was people going, Chevy Chase is funny. That used to happen with like Jim Carrey for a while.
Yeah.
People were like, Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura. Then they would see like the Truman Show or Eternal Sunshine. I'm like, why is he not being funny?
Yeah.
So I think it might be like at the time people weren't ready for this.
Yeah.
Not that it's great. It's not like a hidden gem,
Oh,
really.
no.
There's great things in it. But I think like if you were to show it to people now, they would have more of an appreciation for it. Not with if they don't have the expectation of Chevy Chase is the biggest name in comedy. I gotta see him be funny. If they just go in blind, they're like, oh wow, that was fine.
And it's also weird though, because like I remember after the whole fiasco with Big Trouble in Little China, the fact that John Carpenter would come to a major studio and make another film.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's just at the point where he's like,
well, he didn't go to the studio. I think he was recommended. And he said, he's like, I figure why not? I hadn't made a movie in a while. And I think after this, he did a couple more studio things. He did like the remake of Children of the Damned and a couple other stuff. But yeah, so they wanted Ivan Reitman. Yeah. Ivan Reitman clashed with the direction of the film. I think at one point they went at Richard Donner because he had so much experience with effects. I think his name was on there. I might be messing that up. Sorry if I am. I might be mixing up a different movie that Richard Donner's name was attached to, and I might be confusing it. I feel like he might have been on there, but yeah, eventually he went to John Carpenter, and Chevy Chase thought he'd be a good fit for it. Yeah, and it kind of has, some of it has like a Carpenter feel, like the cinematography of it. But yeah, it is like a unique movie for him to do. And I think the studio was like a little nervous. Like, well, he's the horror guy. It's like, well, he's not, I mean, no one saw Big Trouble when it came out, but it was a comedy. No, it was good.
And also like, that was another thing that he brought up was like, he didn't even try to get his name attached to it in the actual wording because
I was going to say,
like, the brothers would not be okay with it.
At this point, I mean, directed by, because at that point, a lot of his movies were like John Carpenter's, John Carpenter.
John Carpenter's and
okay, so he did it again. He eventually did it again, which this movie connects into that movie in a certain way.
But yeah, I mean, it sucks because like they $40 million of the movie's budget and they only made 14 million something back. I mean, that's
if anything,
bad.
This was a good effects demo for Industrial Light and Magic, who were on fire in the 90s, and I regret not doing it. So I have in like 2000. Someone like my mom or like someone bought me this big ILM book, and it was like the history of ILM. It's on the set in in the cabinet. I should have whipped it out and like looked and seen if there was an Invisible Man, like a Visible Man section.
Yeah, well, the Visible Man. So coming off of T2 and The Abyss, they use the same technology, but this is when they really honed in on that technology.
Yeah.
I mean, the kind of stuff that they pulled off and basically showing things you could do with visual effects before anyone knew you could do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's this movie, even though it's not that great of a movie, it is groundbreaking for special effects.
Yes.
Motion capture wasn't even around.
I know. I was looking at it the other day. I'm like, man, this is really good. I talk about it on my show, like the whole like compositing in like the 70s and 80s. This is around the time where they were figuring it out, because one of the examples I always bring up is like, I love the remake of The Blob, but that has one of the things where like the person in front of the blue screen has a different color correction than the thing outside. And like it was always a trade-off. It's like, well, we can either do it this way where you get the thick black line, or we can blend it a little bit and they turn invisible a little bit. This is around the time where they were figuring that shit out. Like it was starting to get more seamless.
So like the scene where they're in the rain. Okay, so how they did that, they painted everything. Chevy Chase was completely black. And then they threw like stuff to make them look wet. And then it was against a blue screen background. And take it back. Was it? No, it was blue screen back. No, it was a black background, I
think so.
And they just which
is an old technique, but like as technology gets better, because that's what stuff like they did stuff like that with the original Invisible Man. But it's like, but now we can like fine tune it a little bit more and like make it blend a little bit better.
Well, like even with the smoking scene where the smoke comes up and you see his face through the smoke, not just the smoke coming out of the cigarette, but see the visuals through the smoke. I mean, it is crazy the kind of things that they were able to pull off in 1992. And then, I mean, you know, they went off to do Jurassic Park, which was another. I mean, that just changed the world.
The effects were crazy in this. One of my favorite is the building.
Oh, the building's because that's a set.
Yeah, it's a set where like parts of the building are invisible, but they just built like this jaggedy building. I'm like, man, that is insane how cool that is.
Yeah. So I was watching the behind the scenes, and you can tell it's clearly in like the early stages of production. And they're shooting that scene, and the only reason why I say you can tell because Chevy Chase and John Carpenter being very nice with each other, and they're talking very highly of each other. You can tell they're just starting to film it. They basically walk through the scene with the head on the hat, floating hat, whatever. And you can, I mean, but if you look more into it, you can tell like that was the only probably positive part of the film. Then it just goes downhill. Which also, like, here's the thing with John Carpenter, I've noticed, like, he talks a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, at some point, it's like, is it all true? Or do you just like to talk a little shit?
What, did he talk shit about Chevy Chase?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was the thing. So yeah, he was basically said, like, a lot of people say Chevy Chase is crazy. And he was just like, no, he's not crazy. He's just an asshole.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Ironically, we had, forever ago, we had Fred Olen Ray on the show, the director. And he's worked with Chevy Chase a bunch. And he was fine with him. He's like, yeah, I get along with him.
Well, that's the thing.
Like, it's funny. It's like, it is funny, like, when you hear someone who has, like, a big reputation of being an asshole, then you find, like, one or two people are like, that guy's cool.
Well, so I bring that up again, because then there's another conversation, because he's been publicly talked about him and Rob Zombie, and how Rob Zombie said he was very cold when he made Halloween. He didn't want to give him any input. And then he goes on, and he says, like, oh, he's full of shit. I was nothing but nice to that guy. And
he probably just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, Rob Zombie's like, why doesn't he care about my vision? It's like, because he doesn't give a shit.
He just wants the money.
Yeah. John Carpenter stopped caring about Halloween before Halloween 2 was in production. Like, he didn't give a shit.
Because in one other conversation, it was because him apparently and David Kuberg never really saw eyes, and he always felt like David Kuberg was better than him. But they always want to put them together.
Yeah.
Because I guess their movies were graphic and they just want to, I don't know. But that was another thing. I was like, is this like, because I like to watch interviews with him talking to people. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, is it the fact that he's just a grumpy old man now? And he just likes to talk a lot of shit? Or, I mean, he's not the only person who says Chevy Chase is an asshole.
Yeah, Chevy Chase has a reputation of being an asshole.
But apparently Daryl Hannah was the same way. He said
that I didn't know.
She was just nothing but like basically complained through the entire shooting of the film, and they basically said like she acted like a spoiled child that knew it was going to get what it wanted.
Yeah.
Because you can't fire the two leads of the film.
Yeah,
they have to. You need them, and they kind of like.
I mean, you can. It causes a lot of problems. Yeah. There's legal stuff. I mean, you technically can, but. It's cheaper to not and just put up with their bullshit and try to make it work.
Yeah. But I mean, to be honest, like the final product, I think Chevy Chase does a great job.
He's good. He's good. And I like the technique that they do throughout it. Should we talk about the story? Sorry.
We'll talk a little bit more, and then you can read the VHS. And then
I like how one thing that helped with the invisible stuff, like sometimes we'll be in his POV, so we actually see him.
Yeah, and I don't mind that.
Yeah, it cuts down on the budget of having to do everything invisible. It's like, and it does a good job of like easing you into it. It's like, okay, we see him on camera, but he says he's invisible. Then they do the mirror thing. The mirror hat doesn't match up perfectly.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, so now we know. When we see him, he is invisible. Like, we know that now. Yeah. And then when they want to do the effects stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that works pretty well. Like,
and then you still get the physical humor that he does.
Yes.
Because with the jacket scene and stuff like that, it's very funny.
And it's funny when it cuts back and forth between him It's funny.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, I don't feel... If you did it any other ways, then why even have Chevy Chase at all? You know what I mean? Like,
that probably would have been easier. I mean, it's hard to shoot those because that's when... You would have to, you still have to do plate shots and stuff, but like back then it was a little bit more complicated, but you had to have like, the camera movements would be recorded into a computer, then they have to shoot everything twice for a plate shot, so like it would connect and it takes forever.
Well, they did so the scene where it's just his face, they did this digital scan of his head and had him do like, I think it was like 300 different facial expressions, and they were just able to generate that face. So that's not even him actually moving his face, or that's just them like taking the whole head scan of his face and like kind of like what like the South Park does and whatever like video games now, but this was before that kind of shit happened. So
pause.
Go ahead.
Oh, you son of a bitch! Hold on. Ah! Hold on.
You're fine.
I might do it again. Okay, I think I'm fine. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And one thing that I did see that people's gripes were like the whole how the movie chose to incorporate the visibility, and like they were just like logically thinking about it, and how like they didn't like the fact that they went more in depth with the invisibility factor of the movie and like trying to understand it.
Explore that. I mean, most Invisible Man movies are like. What like you would go insane, really.
Yeah.
People think, and he even says, Hollow Man. I thought it would be fun, but it's really not. Hollow Man does it. Also, can we talk about how, like, at this time, in the early 90s, they were remaking all like the old monsters.
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about what do you want to do next?
I don't know what that is, but pause real quick. So you had Dracula, which came out the same year.
Yeah.
Then you had Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You had Wolf, which was the updated Wolfman. You had this one everyone forgets, Mary Riley, which was a Jekyll and Hyde remake.
Oh, cool.
Mary Riley in this one, they kind of like fall down the list of like memorable ones. But that was a weird time. Like, oh yeah, they were like remaking all the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
But since they were public domain, they didn't have to say they were the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
It was just funny how like they were doing that. And like this was our Invisible Man remake in the 90s. What did they want to do afterwards?
It was going to be John Carpenter was going to do Creature of the Black Lagoon with Rick Baker.
Oh, yeah. That's like the one that they didn't do in the 90s.
And well, that's because it's they dropped. I mean, Rick Baker actually already drafted the suit, and they tried to keep it to original and made it more movable and stuff like that. But it's because the success with this wasn't successful at all.
Yeah.
He just left it, and now there's the stills came up. I think this year, or I don't know if it was Rick Baker who released the photos. Same thing with the night sky photos were released by his company or whatever. But it's crazy to see like we could have got like a more like modern day telling of Creature Black Lagoon. Yeah. And we didn't.
Yeah, that one's hard because that one's not public domain. I think that is universal. I think that's why they sometimes call him Gilman and other things.
Oh, gotcha.
I think. I could be wrong. But yeah, that would have been cool. But yeah, I think like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein didn't do that well. So they eventually stopped it. Like Dracula was the big one.
Oh, Dracula was
like the big one.
Dracula was good. To be honest, I don't care about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, to be honest.
Watch my channel. I've become obsessed with that movie, but it's not great.
I like the video game on Super Nintendo.
I've become obsessed with that movie. That's another one, much like Nothing But Trouble, where I watched. I'm like, wow, they really thought, no one thought to stop this before it went too far. They just let it keep going, and then they released it. No one went, oh no, we're on the wrong track here. We got to fix this.
Well, I think with movies that go like crazy weird, like Nothing But Trouble, I think those movies do well when you don't have big names attached.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe people look at them a different light because it's not Dan Aykroyd, it's not John Candy, it's not Chevy Chase, Demi Moore, which was like Nothing But Trouble. Was that 93? Or
no, it was like 90 or 91.
Oh, okay, so that's before The Ghost. Okay.
Yes.
Because I think when Ghost happened, she was the highest paid actress at the time. And then the next year was Whoopi Goldberg because of Ghost.
Yes. But that was definitely after Ghostbusters 2, which critically wasn't received well, but it still made money. So like Dan Aykroyd, they're like, hey, Dan Aykroyd, do whatever you want. And then they went, oh God, never again, never again.
Well, Spies Like Us wasn't really that great either.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that one's not really that great either. But that, once again, that's to my knowledge, that is Dan Aykroyd wrote that, like at least half of the script. I can't remember. So you can quote me, or I'll look it up and I'll put it here if I was wrong. Anytime I'm wrong, I just put it here. I was like, I was wrong. It was this. But yeah, if you want, do you want to read the back of the VHS?
Yes, I do. Okay. Your VHS tape.
Yes.
I bought a VHS tape because I just assumed not many people own this, and it turns out he already owned it. Just a quick nap, and weary stock analyst Nick Holloway is sure he'll emerge good as new. Instead, he wakes up good as gone. Vanished.
I'm good.
Poof. I don't think we need sound effects. Thin air. Those are all. Period. A nuclear accident. I'm saying it right. A nuclear accident has transformed Nick into the Invisible Man. The laughs and visual effects. Comedy. Trying to sell it as a comedy. The laughs and visual effects are out of sight when Chucky Chase. Sorry, I was like out of sight. The invisible effects are out. The visual effects are out of sight. That's good.
Listen, if you're coming here to hear words say the correct way, you're out on the wrong channel. That's all I can say.
Oh, you should have Crystal on as a guest. That'll be a fun time. Or Mid Sally. You should have you should have both of them on. Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Oh, Chevy Chase headlines Memoirs of an Invisible Man. As Nick, Chevy finds advantages to being invisible. It makes it easier to spy on agents, particularly Sam Neill and his chief adversary, who've put him in his predicament. No, Sam Neill didn't put him in the predicament. No, that's wrong. That's like that's objectively wrong. Chevy Chase kind of accidentally does like a chain reaction that causes his predicament, but Sam Neill was there to clean up the mess. Anyway, he can romance a lovely documentary filmmaker. Did I miss that detail?
Yeah, Daryl Hannah. She works for the Smithsonian.
No, I forgot that she was a documentary filmmaker. Yeah. I think I just missed that detail. I'm like, wait, what? In a way, she's never seen before. That's actually in quotations. And if he decides to become a bank robber, he'll be the world's best. But first things first, Nick wants his molecules back.
That's the tagline of the movie. It's in every single trailer.
Women want him for his wit. The CIA wants him for his body. All Nick wants is his molecules back. I mean, he has the molecules. They're just invisible.
Yeah, that's another thing is they don't really go into like a super detail. Yeah. Like I try to understand it. Like I've literally watched the scenes where they talk about what was going on for like 3 times. I'm like, oh, it's not very clear.
John Carpenter, Halloween, and Starman. Directs, and the Dreamweavers at Industrial Light and Magic conjure up eye-opening effects as Nick embarks on his manic quest. Seeing is believing. Period. And enjoying. No exclamation point. I feel like there should have been an exclamation point. Wow, that was a weird summary.
I was like, that is a very long summary.
It's for shits and giggles. Hold on. Well, this one's condensed. No, it's the same thing, but it's just condensed.
Thanks, Tony, for reading. You did actually a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie.
I do my best. I actually fucked up so many times.
No. You don't want to hear me read it. That's the thing is like anyone who ever comes on the show, I will not read it publicly at all. But yeah, so I guess we can just go ahead and start and get into it if you want to.
Yeah.
So basically, is it there? The entire movie pretty much takes place in San Francisco, right?
Except for, I think he drives away to the facility where the incident happens, but most of it is like San Francisco.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Or San Diego?
San Francisco.
I think San Francisco.
He goes, they're on the train to San Diego, right?
Yes.
To go to Mexico.
I think so. Yes.
Something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So movie opens up in San Diego. We get like kind of like this scene shots of like the city and people wearing thermal stuff. Mm-hmm. It goes into basically I guess Radio Shack kind of like store or whatever. Yeah. And this is when we get our first glimpse of Nick basically talking to a video recording of himself.
He's recording his memoirs.
Yeah. Which is weird. It's funny because like once we get to the film once we get to the point where the film actually catches up where the film starts, it's like it's weird because he's talking to us. I'm like, did you shoot the entire film like you're talking to us? Is that your narrative? Is that what's being recorded right now? Because it's like, why does Sam Neill? He knows you're invisible. Like, yeah, I don't know if that was the fact because like they're gonna like he's gonna extend it out. So
I think that's it because he makes a threat like that.
Yeah.
During the movie, and they're like, you don't have friends there, and I guess that's his proof.
Yeah.
But speaking of proof, that's where we get the proof. He's like, here, let me show you. And he's like lighting the cigarette, and then he chews the gum and blows it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was really good.
I really want to know how they did that.
Yeah.
Like, I watched all the special features, and that's not really the stuff that they hone in on.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see anything with the smoke. It was just mainly the scenes where he gets painted completely blue or painted completely black.
Yeah.
That's the only stuff that they really hone in on.
I'm guessing the gum was because this is the beginning of CGI.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was simple enough. Like, I mean, back then it probably took forever.
Oh,
but, I mean, it was probably simple enough of a thing to animate, like kind of like the water. And I don't mean like simple, like easy, just like it's not as textured.
Well, I guess it technically couldn't even been stop motion. I guess
it might have. I thought there
with the mashing and then maybe inflating.
There were still movies doing stop motion at that time, so that could be possible. Yeah, that might have been stop motion. Now I think about it,
but yeah, so we get the cool like him introducing himself into the film, and you kind of get this this narrative view, and I like that.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, it doesn't feel unnecessary and. I like it because it kind of does set the tone how Chevy Chase wants the film to per se, because he's not being really jokey until we actually see him interact with people and he is a little jokey.
Yeah.
But, so then we move forward a little bit and we get to Nick's work with what does he do for a living? Is it stocks?
Yeah, it's stocks. He's like a stock trader. Yeah.
Okay. Because that was the thing is I couldn't understand. I knew he was talking about playing the stock market later in the movie, but I was like, is that what you do?
Yeah, I think it's a stock trader.
Yeah. So we see him at his work, and it's pretty funny because he has a couple witty one-liners because it's a Chevy Chase movie.
Yeah.
Like I like the one line where the lady's like, "You're the best bullshitter, the biggest bullshitter I ever met," or something like that. I've ever worked, the best bullshitter I've ever worked for, which is like perfect Chevy Chase.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yes.
But yeah, so we basically get to see a little bit of his personal life. So far, he's made the jokes where obviously he has no family and stuff, like kind of setting us up.
Yeah, that he's just like. They reference it later like he's invisible to the world already.
Yeah, exactly. He was invisible before he knew he was invisible and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever.
If anyone would turn invisible, it's this guy, and that's pretty funny.
Yeah, no. And then, so he ends up leaving his work and he ends up going to the club, which we basically meet his friend George.
Yes, Michael McKean, I think, from Clue. Right? He's in Clue, right?
Yeah, what else? What is that?
Wait, hold on.
He's in a lot of movies.
Check if he's in Clue. I'm going to feel like an idiot if he's not in Clue. Sorry about that. Michael McKean from Clue, which we all know off the top of our heads. And we know that. We didn't have to fact check that at all. I hope he edited that.
I will if you want me to.
Yeah, he's George. He's George.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, when he gets introduced, obviously Chevy Chase doesn't really like him. He's like, "Oh, act like we don't see him." He's talking to the bartender, and he approaches him. But then it's funny because then later in the movie, he gets so upset that they're talking shit about him. Like, you don't even like him, and now you're upset that he's talking shit about you. But you were just clearly you talk shit about him. Like, it's I don't know. I thought that was kind of like funny.
Remind me, is George has a friend later in the movie? Was he in this scene, his friend who shows up later in the movie?
No.
Because I got to talk about that guy's voice when we get there, but I forgot if he was introduced earlier.
Was it Roger?
Yes.
Roger, yeah.
We'll talk about it when he comes up, yeah.
Because I rewatched it because I thought, what was his name? Because if you look for a second, for a second at the table, it looks like, and you only get a clip, and I don't know if it's him and maybe there were scenes cut out, but it looks like Danny Houston sitting at the table for a second.
Okay.
Really, I swear to God, when I saw it, I was like, that looks like him, but then it cuts back and you never see that person's view. So I don't know if maybe, I don't know, but literally from when they walk up to the table, you see his side profile, and I was like, that's got to be Danny Houston.
I don't know. I didn't catch it.
I didn't, maybe I'm wrong, but.
It could be. I mean, there's plenty of big actors who
just get cut out stuff.
Or like that. Well, that was probably before Danny Houston was big, right?
Yeah. I mean, like Harrison Ford was cut out of E.T.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, that was after Harrison Ford was, but there's stuff like John Leguizamo as a henchman in Die Hard 2. I think his voice is ADR. And there's stuff like that. We're like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So basically he runs into George, and it's funny because he's like, what are you doing? Like George is like, what are you doing, Nick? And he said, he goes, oh, just writing my, like, I just put in my resignation, I'm looking into start a foster home for poor kids, mainly women in their late teens, early 30s, looking to start a family. So this movie's got funny shit in it. And the thing is, like, you can have a suspenseful movie or like a thriller and still throw that funny stuff in.
I think because he actually does kind of feel like his character from Nothing But Trouble, who was going around like saying like buy gold. I think he was also a stock trader in that, but he's doing like the more like asshole-ish smart aleck comedy. He's not. His complaint with like other versions of the script was that it was like Clark Griswold if he was invisible. He's like, I don't really want to do the Clark Griswold thing. I want to do this asshole thing, which I think is funny.
Yeah, and the thing is, like I said, we did get some body comedy, but it's like obviously like that is just like one or two scenes. That's it. Yeah. Like that like, okay, he's known for it. We got it out of the way. Let's keep on moving.
And it's appropriate for like the story they're trying to tell and 100%. The plot. Like, and it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like this is the kind of like drier humor he wanted to do.
Yeah. And but I will say, when he does his intenseful scenes, it works. Yeah. I mean, like, yes, it's kind of hard seeing that way, but like, no, like I can look at Chevy Chase and look at a serious man and not giggle. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not going to like, I'm not going to, look at him being serious. You know what I mean? I didn't feel that. But I don't know. But yeah, so he, Nick, Nick ends up having dinner with George. And this is where we meet, Alice, which is, Daryl Hannah. What'd you think about this? Did you like her in the movie?
She was kind of there. She's one of the issues. Like, that whole romance is like one of the issues I have with the film. They hook up pretty fast, by the way.
Yeah.
Like in the women's room.
Yeah, exactly.
10 seconds later.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, I've got to go." He's like, "What are you talking about? What were we just doing back there? I would have finished this.
Yeah, it's one of the weaker parts of the film. Mm-hmm. And the character is kind of there for like the ending they wanted to use that they ended up not using. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's fun like elements to her storyline later on, but like, and I know he needs a character to interact with, but the performance from her didn't really do anything for me, and it just, I don't know.
Now, the ending that you were speaking of, is it like, was it, what was that ending?
Oh, they were going to have an invisible baby.
Oh, okay.
But then apparently people were like, well, there's a real downer ending because that just makes you sad. Because and like John Carpenter even said, it's like, yeah, I knew Warner Brothers probably wasn't going to go for it. I should have been smarter and not even want to try that. Yeah. But he's like, he didn't seem upset that they wanted a happier ending. He seemed like, he's like, nah, that's on me. I should have known they wouldn't have wanted that.
I wonder if that was the same ending that was in the book, because the movie's based off the book.
I didn't read the book.
I didn't read. Yeah. I usually try to read the book, but I was going to cram it as much, but I couldn't find any audio version of it. And I was like, I'm not going to buy to read it because.
But call me up, I'll read it to you. Where do we leave off? Oh yeah, chapter 3.
But yeah, like, I agree with you a little bit. Like I like Daryl Hannah, but I mean she's great in Splash and stuff like that. But like she doesn't really have any magic in this film.
Yeah, you literally could have had anyone in this role. Yeah, and it would have been fine.
What was Raiders? Who?
Karen Allen.
Yeah.
Karen Allen probably would have been better at this point. Yeah.
She was good in Starman.
Yeah, that would have been good.
I was watching Sandlot and she was in Sandlot. I'm like,
that's right.
And she's older than that. I was like, man, she's still pretty in the 90s.
Yeah, I feel like anyone could have been in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if Nothing But Trouble wasn't a shit show, you could have had Demi Moore in
this. Yeah. What was it? What's it? What was that first movie? St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that lately?
I remember not liking it.
It's awful.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It is awful.
Joel Schumacher was hit or miss. I do not like it.
It was awful. I went through the whole Rat Pack era and tried to watch all the the 80s films and stuff like that. I was like, well, let me put on St. Elmo's Fire. Like some kind of wonderful. Watch that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh my God, like, why do people like this movie? It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
These people are awful.
I don't think, people didn't like it when it came out. And it got a cult following. And people did like it. And now other people watch it and like, no, this actually does suck.
But yeah, so they hit it off, and basically she ends up having to go because there's someone she needed to meet up for something or whatever. And so instead of being all hot and ready, he just ends up drinking himself.
Yes, way too much.
Yeah,
he got like really. He's like, I have the worst hangover ever. I'm like, man, that was like, why? Why did
you just met her?
It's like you did hook up with her. It's not like you got like, so trust me, I've been to the bar when things went wrong. But like you made out with her. She seems like she's interested. She just had other shit to do.
And she gave you your number. I mean,
you got a number. Like, dude, that should have been a celebratory drink, not a. I mean, go home and take care of yourself. But I mean, like that wasn't like like the world was ending. He's like, I got so drunk. I'm like, I don't know, man. That's a win in my book.
But yeah, so like he ends up going to what's it? I wrote it down because Magnascopic Laboratories.
Yes.
Because apparently he's filling in for a friend.
Yeah.
And like that's another thing is when it comes to like what he did for a living, like why is he even there?
It might have been like
look at the company to invest in the stocks.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Like what's this company all about, and then see if we want to invest.
Yeah, because you have to like look like what's coming up is going to affect the stock. I guess yeah.
Which also like so he gets there, he's drunk, he ends up
he's just not paying attention.
He sleeps and he gets up and talks to the guy next to me like wake me up when they're the 16th century or something. Yeah,
he's talking about like the Bible or something.
Yeah, Christ and stuff like that. Yeah. I think maybe they bring up something about Galileo or something like that.
And then he goes down the hallway or whatever.
Okay, first off, he walks around in this laboratory with obviously serious shit going on, and there's like no locked doors. They're freaking the one room is just completely open to where anything could just happen to whatever their testing system is, which you think you'd have that under lock and key. Yeah. Also, if you're on groundbreaking information, you want to save that from anything. You're in a fucking skiff. Obviously they had cell phones back then, but you're like lock and key, no one in and out without a key card and stuff like that.
Yeah.
and he somehow makes his way into someone's got a fucking sauna.
Yeah.
A sauna in their own office. I heard bathrooms, but not a fucking sauna.
Yeah, sauna seems like a lot. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I guess in a house, but in your office? You really need a sauna in your office? Like, away from your house? I'm like, oh, come on, dude. I mean, if you're rich and you have the space for it in your home, fine. But, like, how often during the workday do you like, I need to get a steam in? I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, that's another thing, because like you get in the sauna, you're soaking wet, and are you going to put your 3-piece suit back on after being soaking wet? Like, no, I don't know. I thought it was silly.
Yeah.
But I also think it's silly how, okay, so in the continuing the storyline, the scientist knocks over his coffee into the computer system, and then all of a sudden it fucking catches fire.
I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's the movie again. It's not like supposed to be an outright comedy, but it is having fun. Like,
or was he not even drinking coffee?
No, he was drinking coffee. That was like a thing back then. Like, water and electricity make sparks. And that makes science go bad. That's all you needed to do back then. Now you got to think about it a little bit more. Back then, it's like, oh, yeah, just pour some water in. That's fine.
And then so it's just everything goes fucking haywire. And then like sparks galore is like fucking Goldberg about to walk on stage.
I do love all the sparks just shooting everywhere. That was great.
But yeah, so it caused, the building gets evacuated, everyone runs out, and obviously Nick is passed out in the sauna, so somehow he doesn't hear the sounds, because saunas aren't soundproof.
No.
What's called, it just keeps the heat from coming out.
He's hungover, he's passed out. Look, I went on some benders and I had to like pass out, and there's shit that I didn't hear. I relate to him, although I would be throwing up in his situation, but I relate to him being like, there's explosion. I don't give a fuck. I need to sleep.
But yeah, so then now we get to the epic scene that you brought up earlier. Yeah. The really cool set that they built.
Yeah, it goes haywire and only parts of the building are invisible. And I'm
so clever.
And I guess they use like a lot of black backdrops and stuff. But yeah, it's so cool that you just like see through sections of it. Yeah. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and it's weird because like then you start to think of like, you kind of like start to think of like, how does invisibility work? And like in this one scene, like it's funny because he's banging on the doors. Obviously, they can't hear him, but they can see through it. But obviously, it's still something's still there to preventing the sound from escaping. But yet the lights can go through it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So,
yeah, whatever this invisibility is, it's kind of hard because like I guess realistically, you'd be bending the light like a predator, but they don't want to do that. They're straight up invisible.
Because that's what I was thinking. It was like the light shouldn't just go directly through it. There should be some sort of resistance of some sort.
Yeah, although this is weird science magic, so maybe that is how it works.
But they did something clever though. Yeah. His clothes become invisible as well.
Yeah, that was a good. I like that since he was wearing the clothes that got affected because he was in one of the sections. I'm like, okay, and they're invisible for the rest of the film.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's very well done on their behalf.
Yeah, because he has to. Those are the only clothes that he can wear that will be invisible, and so there's a lot of like they put time and thought into how he's going to do stuff, which is like some of the fun parts of these Invisible Man movies.
No, yeah, 100%. And then also when we get back to like later and when he actually is in his Invisible Man get up, I just feel like I know they want to show homage to like the original movie with the goggles, but it just doesn't explain why he has them. Like was someone just like a history buff and had like pilot goggles?
Oh, well, I was going to say he is like a skier, but those aren't skiing goggles. No. Yeah.
And then later it looks like he's wearing the goggles, but it's actually those blackout sunglasses. They kind of look like the goggles.
Yeah, that was fine. Yeah.
But I'm like I said, I'm just nitpicking right now. But yeah, so this is really cool. So this is when we get our first introduction. Well, a little bit before this, we get introduction to Sam Neill. We find out basically he's the guy you don't want to fuck with.
Yeah.
He's a guy paid to kill people.
Yeah, the CIA. And I think the guy, like, he's being questioned by people. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he, like, gets up. And he's like, I got to take care of something else. Bye. Yeah, he's there to clean up. He's a cleaner, basically.
Yeah,
he's there to clean up, like, the government and shady companies' dirty work.
Yeah, it's funny.
And he's got a bunch of scenes with Stephen Tobolowsky.
Yeah. I think Sam Neill does a great job in this.
Oh, Sam Neill is great in this. This is well into his career, but this is like before like Jurassic Park really blew him up again.
Because really, he had a lot of like, The Omen, Possession. Yeah.
I'm borrowing these from Logan for my episode. Even though I have this particular one on DVD, but I'm borrowing. But I guess John Carpenter and him got along because then years later he's in The Mouth of Madness.
So the reason why, so apparently him and John hit it off. And he, you know, in the whole John Carpenter's rant about the movie that he was talking to a interviewer or whatever, he went on basically just saying like, Sam Neill is the only person who kept him sane on that set.
Sam Neill just seems like a nice guy.
And he said they connected so well when he came to In Mouth of Madness that he's like, well, I already know who I want. I want Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Which I love In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, it's good. It's great.
God. I like that. I like that. Like, that's like H.P. Lovecraft style. Like, if it's cool because like there's got great special effects, but it's almost in the background, so we're not enough to see the detail, and it keeps you wondering. Yeah, it's awesome.
That movie's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad they worked together. One of my favorite Sam Neill things is when he was like first like on Twitter or talking to people. He's like, I think he posted a picture of him outside or something, and then someone sent the picture of his Jurassic Park action figure with the with the glider and the pterodactyl trapper, and they're like, Sam Neill, do you still use your pterodactyl trapper? And he retweeted and he went, most days. I'm like, that's really funny. He seems like he'd be a good guy to hang out with.
No, yeah. I mean, surprisingly, you know, he doesn't really go to I don't even really know if he really goes to conventions or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. He probably doesn't need to.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't need to.
Fine. What was me and Becca were looking up, but was it 2019? Michael Keaton went to the Monster Mania in 2019.
Yeah.
I was like, that shocked me. I'm like, that's like a freaking New York Comic-Con, kind of like San Diego. That's like to go to New Jersey, New Jersey.
I can see doing a convention just to pick up if you don't feel like acting. You're like, let me go to a convention, make some money there.
Yeah.
But you don't have, they don't seem like they're not the type that have to do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would say I could definitely see him like doing very well because he has.
Do you think he'll put boxes in front of people like Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis did? Did you see that?
No.
Oh, at the convention had to like get them to not. They were like they put like a stack of boxes between them and the other person. This is like because
of COVID.
Well, I don't know what their reason was, but yeah, during COVID they were doing the barrier, and it's like, well, COVID was the excuse then, but like everyone was like shitting on Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis for like not wanting to be your friend, but not wanting to like stand next to her, like charging them a bunch of money and then having them stand far away. And I looked at that and I was like, one day that'll be me. I'll do that. I can't wait to get so famous that people will give me money and I'll be like, all right, stand over there, take the picture.
Have you done like the actual professional photos? Like
once in a blue moon, yeah.
Those are like, it's like meat to cattle, man.
Yeah.
You just like, you got 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, what's going on?
All right, bye.
I don't even bother trying to make conversation.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah.
Like, it was a Kevin Conroy. I did that. I was like in and out. Alexa Bliss, I was in and out.
I couldn't. I did one experience, and I was just like, "This is not how I want to meet people. I can't do it." Like, I just felt like a number.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean it's cool to get the picture, but like you have to know, you guys watching, if you're doing that, for the love of God, don't have a conversation with them. Keep moving.
Yeah, they'll yell at you.
Yeah,
I mean they like when I did,
and they're a right to yell at you. Yeah. There's a million people. You gotta keep moving. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Say hi. Nice to meet you. Take the picture. Get out of there.
Yeah. Like I did John Bernthal, and that's what he was. He was like, "What's going on, buddy?" And that was literally it.
It's almost worse when the celebrity does want to talk. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh no, no, shut up, keep going, get these people moving. Can you tell I've had to manage lines in the past for conventions? Like, just please.
Well, then you get to some fans who are like, I wasn't prepared to talk. I don't know what to do.
I don't know why conventions ahead of time don't just go like, please bring one item to sign. Because then people will bring like a whole thing. And then they have to be like, hey guys, we're limiting it to one. It should just be one item from the beginning.
Oh my God. I'm freaking going to comic book conventions. That's the worst. You'll have a guy sit down with like a 50 stack of like individual comics for like Fabian, the guy that did the dialogue for the Deadpool comic and then took over after Chris Conway left. And it's just you're behind that. And you got to wait the entire time for him to sign every single one. Because because you're paying him to.
Like, I rarely get autographs or whatever these days. But what I do, like, I'll bring, like, one thing. And if there is no line, if I have a second thing. But, like, I know going in, I'm like, I want just this one thing signed. If they will sign the other thing, that's fine. You meet me at a convention, I'll sign everything. I'll sign your divorce papers. I'll sign like whatever you give me. Next thing you know, I adopted a kid. I'm like, how this happened?
Compared to Tony Peluso, I do not owe $200,000 in child support.
But anyway, that was convention talk. What happened in this movie? He's invisible?
But yeah, okay, so yeah, so we get Sam Neill's character. We find out that he is basically cleans up for the CIA when shit goes awry, and he now shows up to the laboratory, and basically, how does he pass out again? How does Nicholas Cage? Not Nicholas Cage.
I think
how does
the character? I think he just like faints because he's just overwhelmed. By
okay, yeah, I can't remember because they drag him out.
Yeah, at some point he's out on a stretcher.
Yeah. So they drag him out, and we get some dialogue between him and was it David? David, right? I think it was David. Right?
Hold on.
Dave or David? I know it's one of the. Which
it's Agent, according to the back of the box.
But I know it's David or Dave, one of the two. Yeah. Which is technically the same fucking thing.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, so basically he just explains to him like, hey, you don't need to go anywhere. We need to talk to you. He's like, well, what are you talking about? This guy just told me he was going to fucking dissect me for the next 10 years or something. He's like, why would I go with you? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, he ends up running away. Which is it's this scene with him basically trying to make his way back to his apartment. We see obviously he's invisible, but he really doesn't get the concept that he's invisible.
Yeah, he says he keeps forgetting, and he's like up with the truck, and he almost gets run over. Yeah.
So we get this funny little clip of him basically finding this drunk guy on the street.
Yes.
And he ends up basically knocking him out with his briefcase and getting him to get in the cab.
I love cab. He's just like hunched up in the air, like he's moving. It's so fun. And like the cab driver should be seeing this going like,
he's oblivious.
That's a physically impossible. What happened here? But I like that he brings him in. He starts like moving his mouth. He's like, well, you drive me to San Francisco.
And it's funny. It's the, I don't know the actor's name, but it's the guy from Big Trouble in Little China.
No, not the main guy, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Which is funny because you watch John Carpenter films, little people like that show up all throughout his films, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he ends up going to San Francisco, which obviously I don't know where they're at, but it's clearly a very long cab ride.
Yes, because he's like, you're gonna have to pay me up front.
Yeah, which is funny. Like, I'm surprised someone would even do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you're talking about like if it's like I was surprised I was able to get an Uber after our megabus broke down an hour and 30 minutes away from our house. And he did drive us an hour and 30 ways to our house.
Yeah.
Broke down a New Jersey Turnpike.
I mean, that's you make some money there. But I know there are people that are like, I'm not driving that far. I'm trying to stay local.
Yeah, then you got to go all the way back home. You know what I mean? Which you're not going to make money on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this part's pretty funny. And how he ends up getting out, I like that. Where he's like, hold on, pull over for a second.
I have to throw up. Blah, blah. It's like, all right, take me home.
Yeah.
Or he goes, never mind, I want to go back or whatever.
I want to, he names another street or whatever. But yeah, so he ends up, getting out and gets back to his apartment. And this is the funny, this is when we get a little bit more of the physical comedy because he's watching the news and he's trying to eat because he's starving.
Yeah.
And he obviously can't see his fingers, so he can't see to put stuff in his mouth. But in my head, I'm like, would it be that difficult? Because if you can close your eyes and put something in your mouth, I feel like you could, if not seeing your hand.
I mean, I would screw you up, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever cut your own hair?
No.
Oh, I cut my own hair, and sometimes when I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, where's the arm go? Because it's opposite. My brain won't work.
Because of that, I do not cut my own hair.
But yeah, so, and this is when we get some more of the really cool special effects. We get the throwing up scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really
because they don't really do this in a lot of other Invisible Man movies, but if he eats, you will see. So it's literally just anything that was on his body at that point is the only thing invisible. All new stuff, like eating and whatnot, you're going to see in his stomach.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is cool because like you said, you don't really think about it.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see this visually, which, I mean, like I said, they're trying to pull out bells and whistles here because it's, it's ILM. I mean, they you got to see some kind of awesome special effects, you know what I mean? And then, so obviously he ends up making him throw up because
Yeah.
it's just disgusting. And so then now, it's fast forward a little bit longer. Maybe I think it's like the next day, and he's, you know, he's getting basically took a shower, and he's brushing his teeth or something like that, and he's hearing his voice machines and stuff. Obviously, Alice has contacted him back about their date on Friday.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he starts to see people, I think, outside. And then he was like, oh, shit. No, it's, sorry. Dave calls his answer machine and leaves a message. He's like, because he knows who he is because they kept a log of everyone who walked in.
Right. So they're on to him.
Yeah. So, and I like this scene. So they end up like, so he ends up, he's got to put his clothes back on. So we talked about the jacket scene, which is very funny. But he's got to leave, and he doesn't want to leave naked.
Yeah.
Which, talk about, he was in shape for this movie.
Was. He was looking good at the time.
It was crazy. Like you've never seen Chevy Chase like in shape like that. I mean, he had a 6-pack and everything.
Yeah.
I don't like me rewatching. I'm like, holy crap!
Like, he didn't look that bad in like the Caddyshack and stuff. I think he was just always in shape until he got older. Too. Yeah.
I mean, he was younger there too. But Clark wasn't really in shape either. Like he wasn't fat, but I'm saying obviously you could tell he hit the gym for this film.
Yeah, he might put a little bit more effort into it.
Probably because he knew he was going to be like some scenes like technically naked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, he puts his clothes on, and this is the scene where they come in, and he's like circling around them.
Yeah.
And it's you know,
and this is a moment where we know he's invisible, but it's more fun to see him.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
really fun because you're trying to imagine like what it would look like invisible. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, no, and then like, and I thought it was pretty clever. Like, so they're just gonna bust open the door and just spray paint.
Yeah, they have the spray paint. They start spraying the walls.
Yeah.
They're like really not even realizing that he's already stuck. But I like they're like stepping on his finger and he can't like yell.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny, so then he gets downstairs, okay, and then he's buzzing a door, and the person outside sees the doorknob buzzer go in and out, and the old woman answers the door, which is the old lady from Wedding Singer.
Okay.
The meatball lady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she opens the door. She's like, is it okay to come out? And she's like, yes, it's okay. And she opens the door, and like, it's funny because he ends up busting through the door, and then when they make it through, she's like, I must have fell or something. Like, what do you mean you must have fell? Also, you forcibly fell backwards, and you didn't get hit with something?
You didn't feel yourself getting hit?
I thought that was really funny. I must have fell or something.
Yeah.
But then we get another cool scene where, what'd you think about the blanket scene? I thought that was pretty funny.
That was cool.
That was pretty clever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think about like the person who's literally like, tell me when. Tell me when. But yeah, so he ends up basically escaping and then circling back around, and they end up catching up to him, but obviously they still can't see him. And it's funny because like I believe this is the scene where Sam Neill's like, you know, he basically says he's going to kill him, and then he then basically finds out he's around them. He's like, hey, I just want to talk. He's like, you just told me you wanted to kill me. You said you wanted to kill me. Now you just want to talk. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Is it around this point where he like meets up with that doctor or something?
Yeah. This
next scene. Yeah.
That's the next. That's after this. Yeah.
I love the outfit that he has on. He has the big overcoat. He's wearing like a sock over his head.
Yeah. And that's the scene we get the classic, I want my molecules back.
So that scientist was there at the building, or he like was involved with the building, right?
He was the head scientist that was doing over the research of the magnetism and molecules, because they were working with magnets.
Okay.
And something about molecules.
Something about it. Yeah.
Science.
Molecules, science. But no, I like that scene where he's
against a blue screen and him wearing a blue suit underneath that, because I don't really. It's because it looks like they're actually out in public. So I don't know how they pulled this one off.
This one might have been all CGI or incomposited in. But it could be he was running and it was blue, and then they like painted in the back of the pants that would have been covered up by the blue screen, which I know they do a lot. Like when they're like unraveling, like you obviously you don't have the bandage because the blue's in the way, so they animate it to like fill in.
Gotcha.
Either way, it was like a really cool shot.
Oh yeah,
I love the way it looked.
Oh yeah, and it's like I say, like this stuff, you know, it still holds up.
Yeah,
even to this day, like that effect still looks good. I mean, the only effect that looks a little cheesy is, I mean, like the floating head to our today's standards is a little crappy.
Yeah,
but I mean, but for them, I was like, that was like shocking.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
I would have had a good time seeing this in theaters, being like, "Oh my god, how they do that?"
But so yeah, we cut back and to Sam Neill and his henchmen basically trying to come up with an idea how they're going to catch him, and that's when he brings up the line where he's like, he he had no family, he has no loved ones, has no kids, he was invisible before he was invisible, and so forth. So yeah, he makes it back to the club because that's a safe place for him, and we get the funny little dream sequence of him sleeping on the pool table,
right,
which was like like I said, probably one of the reasons why he got in such a good shape.
Yeah, and this is when he takes the robe off, right, and like his crotch is invisible.
Yeah, because you hear something like I think it's like a voiceover or something of like they've taken everything from me, or whatever, and it's because his dick was. I don't know. That's funny. And then he wakes up. And because he makes it very clear throughout the film where he's like, I can't sleep. I was like, I can't close my eyes. I can't see through my eyelids.
Yeah, technically you wouldn't be able to see at all.
Yeah,
you wouldn't, like, realistically you would not be able to see at all.
Yeah.
Because the light has nothing to reflect off of. Like you just be like, ah.
Exactly. Like what is it? White is absence of light.
Yeah,
that's why it exists. You know what I mean? And then black's all the colors. Mm-hmm. That's our fourth grade.
Or no, is that I think it's opposite. I think white's all the colors. Black is the absent of everything.
Maybe you're right.
Because the black is a shade, not a color. Goths love to tell you that. But I think white is like all of
Got it. Well, I'm dyslexic. So
let us know if we're wrong. I said that with so much fucking confidence. I might be fucking wrong. But
anyway. So he's trying to figure out what's going on, and he tries to get obviously they are one step ahead of him. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to try to figure out to fight fire with fire. So he's like, okay, well, I'll just follow them and see what they're up to. I'm invisible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he ends up making his way to David's office, and he's
David's smart.
Yeah. And the yawning part is always and
he hears the foot crack and he's like, I'm not. He realized I'm not alone.
Yeah. He's pulling some long hours.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. I'll do my 8 hours. I'm going home. I don't know what y'all talking about. It ain't gonna be dark out when I get home. But no, and then we get some cool little dialogue scenes here, a little bit more intense scene. This is where I think where he's really laying it on. Like he's being pretty serious.
Yeah, because Sam Neill goes to reach for the gun. He's like, don't you touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Sam Neill's just like, I don't know exactly where he is.
Exactly.
If there's one note I have, I know Chevy Chase is on screen.
Yeah.
And they're looking at him, but they shouldn't be looking directly at him. I would have had it where they're looking past him.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, there's the one part where he's like, he moves, he's like, listen here, Nick. And then Chevy Chase is over here. Yeah. So that one thing, that's kind of that.
But like him and Daryl Hannah, there's scenes where they're talking to each other and they're like making eye contact. Yeah. I'm like, it would have been cooler if they're just like constantly like this.
Yeah. And also like when she kisses him, I know she's touching his face, but she would still have a hard time knowing where to put her lips. Yeah. Because I mean, even with your eyes open, you can still fuck up a kiss.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this we get the really cool intense scene. I like this.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Yeah. And I mean, he's clearly, I think it's obviously a prosthetic on his head that's holding the gun. But it looks well how Sam is like portraying. Like, he's doing a really good job on his body acting.
He's selling it,
Yeah, really, really well. Yeah. So basically he tries to recruit him. That was his whole he's like, okay.
He's like, what if we use it? We could send you overseas. What if we had an invisible guy in the 30s? Yeah. We could have killed Hitler.
Yeah. He's like assassination is fine as long as you work for the right. Oh, you're on the right side or whatever.
Like it would have stopped 16 million deaths.
Yeah. So basically, he escapes. He's like, he really doesn't know where to go. And he comes up with the idea. He knows George has his beach house.
Yes.
So he ends up making his way to George's beach house.
He pretends to be like his assistant or something. He's like, we need this, George. Charge it to your card. Yeah, charge it to the card.
Yeah, he's like, I need a liquid dot. How translucent are those? The doctor says I'm all gas. Whatever. Which is pretty funny. And then you get the funny little part with the delivery driver who's snooping around.
Yeah.
That would scare the shit out of me.
That would too.
Just walking around, all of a sudden you hear someone talking to you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So he's basically come to this realization that he is going to try to live a normal life, and like almost kind of like not like being like a hermit crab, but stay within the mansion or beach house and live his own life. You get the funny scene where him jogging, wearing clothes, talking to the Fisher guy.
But yeah, because he could do his job like by phone. Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, because you can still talk stocks over the phone and shit like that. I mean, people were hell of. Well, I don't know if the market was online yet, but I mean, we had computers. No, 94 I think is when online.
Yeah, no, it wasn't online yet, but there were people calling and what. Yeah.
So, I mean, his idea was he's trying to find a way where he can invest in a company and have a new person, like a new persona, like a alias to invest all that money, make a big large sum, and just get the fuck out of Dodge. You know what I mean? And everything's working fine, and he's enjoying his new life. And I don't know how much time has actually passed between it. I don't know if it's like a week.
I think it's only like a few days, to be honest. Yeah. But he thinks he's going to be there forever, and that doesn't happen.
No, George ends up showing up with
Roger.
Yeah,
with Roger.
What?
Roger.
Is that the guy's real voice, or was that direction?
It might be his real voice. He talks like this, and I was like, it's not. They kept taking me out of it. I'm like, man, that's probably your real voice, but I wouldn't have cast you as just casual friend.
Yeah. Well, even George's wife, when they're at the first dinner, and she's like, "So your job, how's it going?" And she's like really annoying tones.
I guess that was supposed to be the rich, snobby asshole voice. I couldn't stop listening to that guy. I looked up his credits. I'm like, do I know that voice? I didn't recognize any of his credits, really. I'm just like, man, that is a very specific voice.
What was that? What was the man? They go, your walls are girl.
Oh, I don't know.
If I knew the reference, it would have been funnier of a joke.
But yeah, no, that voice kept like killing me. But yeah, he's there with Daryl Hannah. He likes Daryl Hannah. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, like, it's kind of like it looks like they were set up. But then also, like, it seems like Daryl Hannah, like, had no intentions on doing anything with him.
Yeah. But I like as soon as they get there, they're like, what is this? What is all this stuff here? Someone's been living in my house.
There's a fire. And there's like, and then it's like, oh, it must be my brother. He must have been, so-and-so must have kicked him out of the house again. It's like, well, does your brother drink this? No. The only person I know who drinks that is Nick Holloway.
They start making fun of him.
Yeah. That was the thing, is like, they were saying that he's like, he must be on a bender or whatever. Yeah. It's like, and like I said, we get back to the part where, like, they're all talking shit about him. He's like, and then Roger's like, I bet he just walked into the ocean. Like, really, Roger? I think that's what he fucking did. And like you said, if he's been missing for a week, it's just been a week. I mean, like, what? Okay. All right, buddy. And obviously Roger knows Nick too. I mean, but it's kind of like, this scene is kind of funny where they're just all talking shit about him. Which I'm sure that happens all the time, Yeah.
But
yeah, so then it moves forward a little bit, and Nick.
Yeah, sorry. Were you talking about the Roger?
You go, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Roger's got the hots for Daryl Hannah, and he gets a little too aggressive.
Yeah.
But this scene, like, he makes a move on her, he jumps on her, and then she like pushes him, but then like Chevy Chase picks him up and like throws him across the room.
Yeah.
And like, you think he's supposed to be like, oh, did she kick me? It's like, well, you would have felt somene's hands on your back pulling you.
Exactly. And then he's just like extremely scared of her after that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he thinks she's like super strong.
Well, the one part first off, to get Roger, his personality, and he's like, okay, have a good night. And then comes back literally 10 seconds later, I actually have this bottle. I was going to pop it open once I wrote my book. He's like, oh, I didn't know you were writing a book. Well, I'm not, but it's all in my head right now. I was like, oh my God, dude, really? What the hell?
But yeah, so he like kind of resolves that. Then he's walking on the beach and he has to watch George have sex with his wife for 5 seconds.
Grab my butt, pin my arms down.
And the whole time Chevy Chase is like, huh?
The best part, he's like, I'm sorry. Give me like 10 minutes or something. Just look at the moon.
That was pretty good.
And so there's like the next day, and obviously, Nick wants to talk to Alice. He wants to talk to somebody, and he can kind of tell. He read the room based off of how she even goes, I thought he was your friends. Why are y'all talking to him? Yeah. So you can tell, okay, I know I maybe can trust her. You know what I mean?
And at this point, he's now living in a different house.
Yeah.
Watching them from binoculars.
He calls down there and he's like, hey, come down to this house. I want to talk to you. Don't tell anybody. Just show up. I'll have the door unlocked for you. Yeah. And this is when we get the classic,
the classic goggles, ace band.
Yeah. Which looks pretty freaking cool.
It looked good.
A modern version of it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they like, Hollow Man really went there for like turning into a full-blown horror movie. I didn't see Invisible Man. Did you see Invisible Man?
You know what? I had it spoiled for me.
Oh, damn.
Like, literally, I was at like a restaurant and it was just on the TV. Like, I forgot. It came out like during COVID and then I just kept forgetting to watch it. Yeah. And then I'm at a restaurant. I'm like having the whole movie spoiled. I'm like, oh, it's a suit?
Yeah, okay. Someone said that to me. Like I said, have you seen Invisible Man? He's like, yeah, it's a suit the whole time. I'm like, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I mean, like, and I was just looking at him like, I think I get the idea. I'm not going to watch it. I like that director, though. I know he's doing Wolfman now.
It looked good. Yeah. I mean, as far as the trailers, I mean, looked well made. And I mean, the actress that was in it, I'm not really big fond of her, but like, I was enticed to see it. And I thought, I like the whole, I think she did a really good job. I'm like, I'm not fucking crazy. You know what I mean? But talk about spoiling movies. I was watching, first time I watched Reservoir Dogs, when like 20 minutes of movie, my dad walks down, he's upstairs, he's like, oh, this movie where they kill each other, everybody, right? They kill all each other. They kill everybody, right? They all kill each other? Like, and mom was like, I haven't seen it.
I'm like, I don't know if that's the movie, actually. I'm currently in the middle of watching it.
But what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, obviously the best Invisible Man incarnation is the Invisible Mayor from season 2 of Mummy Cop. That was, I don't know why that wasn't on your list.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot about that.
It's fine. It's fine.
Hey, I did portray Mummy Cop. You did? One of your last.
You looked more like the Invisible Mayor than you did Mummy Cop. Yeah. Which was the whole joke, because everyone thought Mummy Cop was the Invisible Man or Dark Man when I went to convention. So we wrote that plot line where the Invisible Mayor, who was a coked up homosexual, promiscuous, like a puppet of the mob, like he was like a plant by the mafia. He ends up getting killed because the main bad guy confuses him for Mummy Cop. But we had to see where he had like the floating sunglasses.
Oh, that's great.
We didn't really try hard with our Invisible Man.
I gotta revisit that.
Yeah. That's fine. I haven't revisited in a while.
I still like this. It makes no sense, but I still like when you pull your head out from under the car. It's shit. You got shit on your face.
Yeah, I didn't write that one. There was some weird things. I didn't
laugh, though. I thought
there were some weird things in season 1 that another writer did, and I left it in. And like season 2, I'm like, yeah, I would have changed that. But
anyway. So yeah, she ends up passing out, and he ends up bringing her to. Basically, just tells her the whole thing, what happened. And at this point, she's been gone for like 2-something hours because she's on a run or whatever. And he ends up going back to the beach house with her, and she's in his room. And it's funny because there's this one part where he's eating the dinner or whatever, and she's talking. She's like, "Hey, you were here last night, weren't you?" Because the whole Roger scenario. Shit. But yeah, what's called and so he's like, it's funny. She was like, you were here last night because the whole Roger scenario, and he goes, well, I mean, I can't say. He goes, you were, and and then she's like, well, how long did you stay after? He's like, Alice, I swear to God, I didn't see a thing. I had my hands over my eyes.
She's like, but your hands are invisible. He's like, oh,
that was pretty funny. But yeah, so. They basically, George ends up leaving with his wife and Roger. Roger thinks she's batshit crazy because she can hear him talking to somebody and there's nobody there. And it's funny because when she leaves, she's like, also, she goes, by the way, I have a therapist that's really well. It helped out.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Allergies.
He's like, I got the number for a therapist and I think it would be really helpful for her. And she's kind of like, okay, because Roger's like, she might be fucking schizo. You know what I mean?
She might be schizo.
That was a little more Pee Wee Herman than Roger.
Whatever. I did my best.
But yeah.
How many Roger voice impersonators are there out there?
But yeah, so they end up leaving or whatever, and she's going to stay with him and she's trying to want to work with him on his plan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's setting up. He says, "Listen here, if you help me out, I'll be out here, I'll get some money, and I'll just leave you alone. You never have to see me again." Literally. And so they end up wanting to basically go on a date because she's like, "I don't really think we need to do that. You know what I mean? We don't have to cut ties because she's got feelings for him."
Yeah.
So she's like, "Well, I think it goes, it's too bad I never could take you on that date we promised or whatever." And she's like, "Well, hold on a second." Then she pulls out her makeup.
Yeah. The makeup scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool effect, but I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like we're...
That's the digital scan part. That's where they digital scanned his face.
No, but I feel like I'm like, I know you just... Like, I'm trying to think of, like, logistically. I'm like, it wouldn't look that good. It would not look that good.
And the funny thing is, too, also, like, his teeth. The reason why his teeth are so white.
Because they're, like, dentures or something.
No, it's whiteout.
Oh, right.
They put whiteout on his teeth.
Right.
And the scene in the rain, they blackened his entire mouth.
Yeah.
I was like, it's, I don't even know what the hell they could have used.
I don't know either. Yeah.
And then Daryl Hannah has to kiss him, and you could tell when they hit cut on the behind the scenes, she was not happy on kissing him because all that shit's on her.
Yeah.
But this scene, as far as all the ones, like this one holds up the least.
Yeah. Although it is cool seeing him like not have eyes.
Yeah,
that was cool.
So those blue eyes. So anytime it was like when he needed to do the blue stuff and they did the blue face and stuff, he had to put in blue contacts that had little tiny peepholes in them. Oh. But his eyes had to be numbed because they were so painful.
Oh, yeah.
And same thing with the black contacts. He had to do the same thing with the black contacts.
I never do it. I would.
Your eye thing. Yeah.
I've had to have my eyes numb so they do stuff. It hurts after it wears off.
Yeah.
It'll hurt.
Well, because that's another thing is like, so Chevy Chase kept on getting pissed off because he signed on for the movie not understanding what he was going to have to go through.
Yeah.
And which I'm sure at this time, like people probably didn't really understand that type of special effects. So like, oh no, you're wearing this makeup for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And shit like that. And then I think he said it took him about 4 hours to do like the black scene, everything get painted black for it looks bright, and then put the slick stuff on him. It would take about 4 hours. But yeah, he would ruin. John Carpenter said he would ruin entire takes because they would start the one take and he was just like, and he would just rub all this shit off. He's like, I'm not doing this today. Yeah. They would ruin an entire day of shooting because that was the plan for the day, for him to wear that makeup and do that scene. And they would have to reset the entire time. So that was one thing where he was like, John Carpenter basically is like, he's a prima donna. You know what I mean?
I get it. That is hard, but like.
In my head, it's like, you're an actor.
Yeah.
You get paid to do it. You know what I mean? And like, once it's over, it's like, if you focus on how much it sucks, it's going to make it last longer. Just do the scenes, get it over with.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it maybe sounds easier just to visually say right now and not have to literally go through something like that. But I think of it like, it's like same thing like getting tattooed fucking sucks and you're there for 5 to 6 hours and you're in pain. This is, a little bit more bearable and you get a nice... Well, sometimes.
Or at that point, just ask for like script changes and stuff so you don't have to do that particular... Do it in a way where you can get like a stand-in to do some of these scenes, but...
Which technically you could because no one sees the fucking face.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
It really could be a stand-in, which just that has the same facial features as...
But then he's like, that's not my acting. That could be a thing. It's like, well, you don't want to do the thing. Like, it's fine.
I mean, and the thing is, you bring that up, like, you can ADR all that audio. I mean, 100%. But yeah, so they end up going to the dinner, and everything's going fine until he ends up rubbing the makeup off. That is I will say, I did see this movie when I was little. Yeah. That scene scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's creepy.
But it was just like the teeth and stuff like that. Like that was pretty creepy. Because this was like the first John Carpenter film.
Really?
This was the first one I ever saw. Oh. I was a scaredy cat when I was little. I didn't really even like watch horror movies till I was like 13. I saw Scream when it came out because my sister watched it, so I was like, like from the doorway while she's watching. Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't watch it with her. I'd be like, oh.
No, I was watching Halloween and shit like early.
I don't know how you... I mean, I had friends that did that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I liked the stuff because I would walk down the movie aisles and look at all the VHSs.
Oh, yeah. I used to love looking at the VHS.
Oh, yeah. And that's the funny thing is like, it's funny to...
When I was younger, I wanted to be in a video store every day. I got my wish in one way.
Well, it's funny. So like... Video Villa is actually the Video Villa store that I grew up with.
Oh, okay.
And they changed the name, and it's a consignment sell place, and they have a sign, and the sign has, so they they took down the sign. It's been literally sitting outside on the ground in front of the building for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Same spot right in front of the store.
Yeah.
The store's open, but it's not that anymore. And I've asked them multiple times, can I have the sign or buy the sign?
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know what we're going to do with it. I'm like, at this point, I could just fucking steal it.
Yeah. How big is it?
It's like probably 10 feet long.
Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to steal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, let's just go fucking get it. I'm like, oh, 10 feet. That's a. Sorry.
Yeah. It's been cracked because I cracked it, but it's still holding together.
Okay.
But no, yeah, it's funny because I literally had my mom contact me 2 weeks ago. She's like, do you want me to contact him again? I was like, yeah. What's it called? Because I want it.
Yeah.
And so she contacted me and she's like, we'll call you back. And they just never called me back.
But yeah, I watched John Carpenter, so I was watching horror stuff. I didn't see this till way later. So.
Yeah. Well, this was like, so 92. So I think I watched it like probably 94 after it like hit TV or something like that.
Probably. That's probably when I saw it, was some point on TV.
Yeah. Because I remember it was the only reason I remember it because it was a snow day and I went with my dad to Save-A-Lots to get some canned goods because they were really known for cheap canned goods.
Yeah.
And we drove back home in my dad's truck and this was on and I ate. Do you remember? Oh, I don't know if y'all had them up in PA or if it was popular in PA, but it probably is. The gravy and meat in a can.
No, if we had it, I didn't have it.
It's like gravy and almost like it's like ham chunks, but it's pre-made in a can. You just pour it over bread.
No,
I don't know. Maybe it's a southern thing. I remember that's what I ate.
I mean, it might exist. My family wasn't buying.
Anyway, that's done with memory lane. But yeah. So where were we? I forgot.
He takes the makeup off.
Okay, yeah. So he takes up the makeup off, and they basically get to the idea where, like, listen here, how about this? How about we go on the run together? Okay. And we can go down to Mexico. Okay. That should be far enough. And we should not have to deal with any of this because we'll be out of the state's lines.
If the government wants a secret that they can
they would go to Mexico, no problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're gonna get a train ticket. And this is when they go get the train ticket. This is when we get the cool rain scene.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. And this is when I guess Daryl Hannah's been able to see Nick for the first time again. It's cool and all. It's cool how it's done.
Yeah.
And the back, the background and stuff like that. And obviously, this leads to them, sleeping with each other or whatever.
Which that would have been funny to see. Would have been really funny to see. Like, I'm thinking of like all the comedy bits he could have done. Like her legs up in the air.
Yeah.
Like, hair floating. Like, that would have been really funny to see.
That would be pretty good. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. The funny thing, like they do because another thing that's in every single TV spot, where she nudges him while she's like cuddling her.
Yeah.
He's like said there's like he's like I'm not sure I want to tell my mom about you, and he was like, "We'll leave out all the sexual stuff."
That's right.
And she she nudges him, and it's funny because just I guess because you obviously he's not there, but you still see the movement.
Yeah,
I don't know, like little things like that. I think,
that was cool.
I like that kind of stuff. Like it doesn't look shitty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they end up making their way to the train, and they end up getting on the train. They're going to escape or whatever. But they have found out what's going on because George has called some friends.
Yeah.
They're tapped George's phone, and they're like, "Guess who's been at my house on a bender? Nick Holloway."
Oh.
And then Sam finds that, so they're like, "Oh, he's he's been there." And then they kind of they go there, and that's when they escape or whatever. Man, actually, to be honest, I might have been. That happens at some point in the movie. I can't remember. This might not be right.
I think it's around this point.
Yeah. So yeah, it moves forward, and then they get on the train, and so they find out what train is on because they get Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
They read the train ticket and stuff like that. So this is a pretty cool scene where the one thing is, and I'm not sure if I remember recalling this, when Daryl Hannah sees Allison, when Alice sees David for the first time. Does she know who he is? Because at that point, I don't think that she's ever seen him.
Wait.
Right?
Daryl Hannah? No, she saw him Oh, Sam Neill's character.
Sam Neill's
character
on the train. She sees him on the train. That's where she's like, "Oh no, they know us." But like, I don't think they've come in contact yet.
No, I don't think, unless we missed like a scene. Maybe a scene cut. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't remember them meeting each other.
Yeah, I saw when I was rewatching it this morning. I was like, wait a second, y'all, you shouldn't know who he is.
Yeah,
Sam knows who he is, but you shouldn't know who he is.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
that was weird.
Like I said, I'm not the nitpick, just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is we get the kind of cool scene of him running through the train car and the thermal vision and stuff like that. And he's about to get out, but obviously the trains ran out of places to run. And he gets hit with the tranquilizer dart, ends up falling into the river. He ends up getting washed up to shore. And he could just leave because now everyone thinks he's dead.
Yeah, he's got an excuse.
Exactly. But he obviously loves Allison. He wants to make his way back to Allison. This is where I really think the movie starts to get really good. I do like towards the end of the scene and
really, this is where it kind of like,
oh, you drags for you.
Yeah, and also like how it ends is just kind of like, oh, that's it.
I thought it was, I will say, you talking about like Sam Neill?
Yeah, well, yeah, it felt like,
I thought that was very stupid.
Like, that was very stupid.
He's very clever. Why would he make that dumb decision?
Yeah, it's just now like this whole ending. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that solves that problem. Like, more people are gonna find him. Like,
yeah,
like it just feel like nothing really got resolved, just delayed. But then the movie feels like it's a happy ending, which we're gonna go through. But like,
yeah,
it's like, it just, for me, I'm just like, I feel like not enough happened that was significant at the end, other than you got rid of one guy and that's it.
And also, like, still, when he jumps, they're still going to try to find an invisible dead body.
Yeah,
it's not that hard to find it when you know where it fell.
I do like how he tricks him.
Yeah, yeah.
So he gets his friend George on the payphone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he gets his friend George on the payphone. It dresses him up as the Invisible Man, so they think that's him.
Yeah.
And they like punch him and they realize it's a person. It's like, oh shit.
He says not so rough. He's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? What did Nick tell you was going to happen? to be okay with getting punched for no damn reason.
But eventually it ends up in a construction site, and David, he sees like he gets like powder or dust on his jacket, so he's following the jacket, and then of course he's on the ledge, which I wish the movie didn't show like what his plan was ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they didn't show, because like it's literally Chevy Chase is holding his jacket.
Yeah.
Because it has the powder on it, and it's like tricking Sam Neill into thinking he's gonna jump.
You could have just clipped after he fell to Chevy Chase holding on.
Yeah.
And then you could have put the 1 and 2 together. Oh, he was holding his jacket.
Or even like right before the jacket drops, then we see him go like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just Sam Neill just splatters.
Ole, asshole, or something.
Yeah, he's doing like one line. I'm like, dude, you haven't killed a person before. This is like, this is okay. But yeah, I guess they see the jacket or something. They assume he's dead. It's like, they're gonna find out that he's not there.
Yeah.
They're going to throw dust around and be like, we don't see any invisible bodies here.
And also, no offense, but like, there's no way Daryl Hannah's getting out of this alive.
Yeah.
Even Sam Neill killed the doctor, what's called, but even the guy that's above Sam Neill.
The Stephen Tobolowsky.
The nicer guy, the nicer agent. They're still going to lock her up. And I mean, there's no way they're going to let her just leave with this information.
Yes. But then after that, because they didn't do the baby ending.
Yeah.
After that, it's just... he's skiing.
Yeah, in Aspen, right?
Yeah, in Aspen. And then he comes in, he takes his goggles off. And I know it's just like a wireframe on the hood. And then they kiss and that's it. I'm like, oh. Huh. Not even like, the government, let me go.
Well, she's pregnant. So you know there's going to be a baby. We just don't get the baby
Yeah,
yet.
we just don't. Yeah, they just didn't deliver on the baby. Kind of like The Fly didn't deliver on the Fly baby, although they shot that weird dream sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just ends on a weird note. And like the whole like finale, I know it just doesn't work for me, the finale.
Yeah, I mean, I get it because it's just all of a sudden like it seems a little rushed.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be a little bit more of an epilogue.
Yeah.
To like, how are things actually going to
I guess I'm just not expecting it. I wasn't expecting it to have like a happy ending, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we forgot to mention he disguises himself as a cab driver. Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't hold up that well.
Yeah. What are you talking about? I thought it was fine. As an age today.
Hey, it's better than Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd.
Listen. I reviewed Soul Man recently. So Chevy Chase and Indian Face for this. I'm like, not as bad as Soul Man. really no coming back after Soul Man. I mean, unless they start reviewing movies from like the 30s. But other than that,
yeah,
I'm just like, oof. Maybe that's why I wasn't so shocked when I saw Chevy Chase as the Indian cab driver. I'm like, well, Soul Man did it worse.
Oh man.
But yeah, it just kind of ends.
Yeah, I get that.
But no, for most of the movie, I'm on board with it. I like how they're explaining his invisibility and showing all the struggles he has to go through to be invisible, and like it's almost like a situational comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole like government aspect, like Sam Neill's really good. He helps sell that plot line.
Yeah.
But in the end, it just kind of fizzles. The movie feels like it just fizzles out.
Yeah. But and the funny thing is, this movie is like only a little bit over an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So you had time if you want to continue something.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get like there was plenty of time that you could tell, like, you know, you could have used another 15 minutes if you wanted to flesh something out a little bit more or whatever.
And if you wanted to have a happy ending, you could have figured out a way to have a happy ending. But this was like, well, they're just always going to be on the run or always having to figure out a way to explain his invisibility. Like, he can't have a normal life or anything. It just didn't work. It didn't work.
It probably would have been better if you literally just saw him leave Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
And let her think he's dead.
Yeah.
Just knowing the fact that like
in Darkman.
Yes. Yeah. Or like was it like Butterfly Effect? Because you're just like, I can't change the past. I just have to leave her alone. Know that I can never have what I want.
No.
And like, I mean, it's like, you know, you could have done that. Yes, it would have been depressing. I think that would have been more. Maybe it would have sold the tone of the movie a little bit better than having a happy ending.
Yeah. But overall, it was an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, to be honest, to go back to what we were saying earlier, like I don't see why it gets so much hated. Like, where are the two film critics?
Siskel and Ebert.
Siskel and Ebert. They hated this movie.
Yeah, that's weird.
What's called, and they just they said Chevy Chase was not funny in it at all. And I said, once again, maybe it's the fact that I think what kind of movie they were going to get into.
Well, it's also kind of the fault of the advertising and even the film itself. Like, there are times where it feels like a comedy.
No, yeah,
and it works better as a comedy than it does a drama. So I understand them being like, well, we're really laughing too much during this. It's like, well, you weren't supposed to, but yeah, the movie has an issue with tone. So I can understand if they went into it thinking this was supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah.
And it's only got like a few funny moments here and there.
True.
I can see like being let down by that. That's why I would like to show this to someone who's not familiar with Chevy Chase or Christmas Vacation or any of that. So, by the way, I'm looking at your Chevy Chase action figure over there. And you have this Invisible Man Chevy Chase action figure right here. I mean, that's pretty good. Like, look at that.
It was $236 on eBay.
Jesus, I'm going to put that right back down. Maybe this is a movie that you can, I don't know if it doesn't have a cult following, but I feel like it's on Tubi. Well, actually, at the time of this recording, it's only had 3 days left on Tubi. But I feel like people should go back and give this one a chance. There's a lot of good elements there. The effects, just like effects wise.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie to watch because it's like right between Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park. They did this other little thing in here.
Yeah.
I'd say check it out.
No, yeah, 100%. I definitely think that, you know, if you're a John Carpenter fan, I definitely think you should watch it. I know it's not typically a film that he does. Same thing was Starman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Starman's great.
Yeah, and then Elvis. I mean, those are some, like, these are kind of those.
Elvis is also great.
Yeah. And, well, another thing that's like, I would have liked him to do the soundtrack for this.
Yeah.
He didn't do this one. He didn't do Starman. And I think he did.
He didn't do The Thing. That's Ennio Morricone.
And then, because Shirley Walker did this, and I think
Shirley Walker, she did Batman in the Animated Series theme, I think.
I know she did Escape from L.A.
Okay, yeah.
Now I don't know what was like. I don't know if like Carpenter worked with her, but I do know like one of her big credits was Escape from L.A.
Yeah, she was pretty big at that. I think she did like Mask of the Phantasm, if I'm right. Fact check me.
I will go back and fact check.
I know her name, and I'm thinking Batman the Animated Series, and I don't know why. I don't know why I would be connected to those two, so it has to be right. And if I'm wrong, I'll freeze frame here, and you can just put a thing that says Tony is wrong. Okay.
But yeah, maybe like I said, it would have been cool to have. It does feel weird because he did so many of his soundtrack. It's so it feels weird when there's a movie that he didn't do the music for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. Like, you don't want to do it all the time.
I would like one thing I brought up what was it? The Firestarter the remake, the only good part of that movie is John Carpenter's soundtrack. He did the music for it.
Did him and his son?
Yeah, I think it's him and his sons. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they were involved with that one.
It's he just did the music. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's
what he did with the new Halloween.
Yeah,
they're like, will you be a part of the movie? He's like, I just want to do the music. I don't care about anything else.
Which is the new those longer versions of it that he did. Where there's the cool like the music videos of them all playing in the band together, doing it all at once. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I love John Carpenter's music.
Oh yeah, the Fog.
I listened to Lost Theme. There's a new Lost Themes album, I think.
Oh really?
Either on the way or it's out now.
Well, I know there's two.
Yeah, but there's a new one.
Oh, so there's a third one? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I listen to his music all the time. I just put it on, I space out. Yeah. It's good shit.
Yeah, I mean, In the Mouth of Madness has got a nice good one too as well. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm up with you. Same thing. Like I think it's a great movie. I think people should check it out. Like I don't understand all the hate. It's like, but it's not a perfect movie. I understand that it's not like. And like you said, it's not even a cult classic. I just think it is a movie that maybe people forgot about and think they just need to retry it, rewatch it, or something like that.
Visually and like the comedic sort of thing, this felt like kind of like They Live a little bit, like its look and everything, and how They Live had some like dry humor, and then it had like some slapstick with the fighting and whatnot. I don't know. I feel like that'd be a fun pairing, those two movies.
No. And it's a state. That's all. And that was in San Francisco too, wasn't it? Yeah. So that's another one. They Live's pretty good.
Yeah, They Live's great. Yeah.
Just think of it. What if they like? Because he was going to do Kurt Russell, but what's called they got Roddy Piper instead. Do you think
win either way? You win either way. You win either way. It would have been a good movie either way.
What was there's the funny like outtake where like Roddy Piper was something where he gets the cop's gun and tells him to run away.
Yeah.
He's like says something like skip a beat or something like that. But like he literally just said like it was the words of like what to do, but he just read that as the dialogue.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like the Hercules, disappointed or something like that. Like where you just read
Black Dynamite. Sarcastically, I'm in charge. I will say, you could have put Roddy Piper in this.
Yeah,
he had experience with body paint when he was half blackface for that one WrestleMania. I forget what the plot line of that was, but he would have done it. Roddy Piper was a really good actor. Like I've seen like Hell Comes to Frogtown. I know they're like corny movies. Like I did one with years ago on Patreon, like
did you do the wizard one?
No.
Harry Potter ripoff?
Immortal Kombat, which is also called Result to Kill, and he's hilarious in that. I want to watch a movie from a few years back. It's called I'm forgetting the title, but basically it's Christian Saul. It's like a guy locks all these people in so they find their Christianity. I'm like, is this a Christian Saul movie? I think it's called The Reconciler or something. And Roddy Piper's in it. I'm like, I gotta watch that.
He was really funny when he was on It's Always Funny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. No, he was good. I met him years ago at a convention. Awesome. He was pretty cool. Yeah.
They say he was a really good dude.
I had a pic. There's one Monster Mania convention where I only have like 2 or 3 pictures, and like I guess a computer died and we never had it backed up on anything, so there's only like 3 pictures I have from it.
Oh damn.
But I had pictures with like Roddy Piper. I had pictures with the entire Evil Dead cast, and they're just gone.
Oh shit.
All those moments gone like tears in the rain. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously if you don't know who Tony is,
everyone knows who I am.
There you go. That's right.
Everyone.
No plug here.
No, I'm kidding. Tony from Hack the Movies. Hi. I'm very famous and important. And if you don't know who I am, then you're a real loser. And everyone makes fun of you. And when you're walking in public, people are like, that guy isn't cool. So you want to subscribe to my channel so everyone stops making fun of you. By the way, I do this at like conventions and stuff when I'm trying to pitch the channel. Oh yeah, have you heard about the channel? Like, no. I'm like, I know, because everyone's been laughing at you behind you. You're going to want to subscribe. So subscribe. We talk about movies new and old inside a video store. I know you're saying, Tony, I'm watching a channel that does basically the same thing. And it's like, well, why not watch 2 channels that do it?
There you go.
And only 2. No other ones. So subscribe. We talk about movies new and old. We do live wrap-ups. Logan calls into those.
Yes.
They're a fun time. Except for when someone has mic issues. Other than that, they're a really fun time. So come on over there and we'd love to have you.
Awesome. Well, that's it. That is our today's episode. Same thing he says. Please like, share, subscribe for the channel if you like this content. Please leave us a review on any kind of podcasting app that you're choosing. That just helps with the algorithm so other people see the videos. But with that being said, see you on the next time.